It is?
What do I do?
Good morning, everybody. Archie J. Arch, thank you for hosting me. This is the deck that I will be playing in the Arena Open here. I'm just making some final tweaks to the sideboard. It's best of one, but I have Karn the Great Creator in here, so he allows me to pull out artifacts from my sideboard during the game. So that's what the sideboard is for. In my limited experience with this, I didn't find that Witching Well was ever very useful. Sorcerer's Spyglass might be okay. I've never found Salvager of Ruin to be any good. Probably want an extra one of these. Maybe this one. Okay. So I'm just going to go over my deck choices for anybody who is interested. This is kind of where I started. Well, that's not true. Where I started was this. It was a best 2 out of 3 version. Actually, this one's tweaked a bit, but so like the glass caskets weren't in there originally, and the Dovin's Veto wasn't in there. But there was a lot that I was finding that I was losing a lot to aggro decks, and specifically the cycling deck. The problem with the cycling deck is that I would stabilize, I'd clear off the board, and they'd have like 1 card in hand, and I'd be at like 15 life, and then I would lose to that burn spell in there. They'd eventually draw it and then just shoot me for 15 or whatever. And I didn't really have any way to stop that. So that was a problem. Also, the aggro decks were running me over pretty frequently. So I modified my best of one deck to this. And so you'll see that there's some extra wraths in here. I've got one glass casket. That replaced the Omen of the Forge, which is for roughly the same thing, but there's this white deck. It's a Luca, not a Luca. The companion where you can only have 2 costs in your deck. It's a white aggro enchantment deck. Sometimes they play green too. And what I was finding is sometimes they'd go turn 1 like Healer's Hawk or something like that, and turn 2 put 2 things on it, and it would be too big for me to shoot down with an Omen of the Forge or even a Deafening Clarion, and then they just leave up protection spells after that. So what I found with Glass Casket is that because it says converted mana cost 3 or less, it doesn't matter how big it gets, you can still get it. And because it's white, if they play a protection spell to save it, if the protection spell is one of the protection from a colored spells, all of the enchantments fall off. So this is quite good against the white decks, and obviously it's good against any sort of aggro deck. I cut down on Shark Typhoon by 1, and what else did I cut? I think I cut an Elspeth Conquers Death, and I was still losing to cycling, so I tried putting in these Soul Guide Lanterns to give me an out to just turn them off. But I didn't play that for very long before I started. I played against the Karn build of this deck a couple of times, and I thought it was pretty cool. So I found a couple of versions online, and I edited my deck to this, which is what I'm going to be playing today. So this build, I still have the 1 Glass Casket and the 3 Deafening Clarions and 3 Shatters, so I have like 6 Wraths. But what this deck does is I'm playing 2 Elspeth Sun's Nemesis and 3 Karn the Great Creators. So Elspeth gives me a 4-drop that still helps me Luca on turn 5, but also gives me multiple blockers against aggro decks, and against control decks or like a mirror, it gives me a Planeswalker I can rebuy several times. So it's pretty good in a long game, and it's pretty good in a fast game. It's not great in either, but it's reasonable in both. And then Karn the Great Creator gives me access to artifacts out of my sideboard. So the sideboard gives me Grafstegger's Cage, which I can play in a mirror if I don't have Luca and I'm worried they do. It gives me Shadow Spear against any deck that gets my life total low and could burn me out. I can grab a Shadow Spear and gain some life back. It gives me access to the Soul Guide Lantern, which is what I was trying to do with that last build in stopping the cycling deck. But this gives me the Soul Guide Lantern to grab later in the game, which is when it's relevant against the cycling deck. So, and Karn, is good in other situations. So that's part of what I liked about this. It gives me some extra Glass Caskets to deal with smaller creatures. Although I found that they're not. I don't have to grab those very often because, but if I can get to Karn and then have time to -2 and grab a Glass Casket and cast it, then probably I have stabilized already. Not always, but often. Sorcerer Spyglass can be good in the mirror. Again, if they have a Planeswalker I don't, or if I'm worried that they have a Planeswalker that I don't, Sorcerer Spyglass can buy me time against a Luca or something like that. Crystalline Giant, I haven't grabbed this yet, but basically it's just a random duder that can get a bunch of abilities. Godpharaoh Statue, I've found can be quite good in the mirror. If you have this in play and they have a Fires of Invention, they still have to pay 2 for all their spells. And the other thing is it's a 6-drop, which Karn can turn into a 6/6, so you can definitely win a long game with this on the table. If they don't have Fires, everything becomes super expensive for them to cast. Meteor Golem just blows stuff up, and then Stonecoil Serpent is a random dude to get. I have also not grabbed this before. Okay, so I'm going to run this. I'm going to take a picture of the sideboard. so that if I get a Karn out, I can remember what I have to get. Oops. Okay, let's get this started. Move this down a little bit. All right, 20,000 gold. Cha-ching. Oh, and you get these special lands, which is kind of cool. The Godzilla lands. Maybe I'll switch into those lands right now. Oh, the other thing about this build that I forgot is that I put in 3 interplanar beacons. They're not good for casting my non-planeswalker spells, but there's a reasonable number of planeswalkers in the deck, and in best of 1, I'm expecting a lot more aggro, and so sometimes the like 1 to 3 life that you gain off of this in the early turns is enough to keep you alive, which is why it's in this build, but it's not in my best 2 out of 3 build. So 1 mountain, 2 islands, and 4 plains. Part of the reason there's so many plains is because of Birth of Meletus, which specifically grabs plains. Alright. Home. Go to this. Pick a deck. Make sure, yep, I labeled it Karn so that I'd remember which one was which. Alright, so it was 20,000 gold or 4,000 gems, so as you can see, even if you get to 7 wins, you don't get that back, but it qualifies you for day 2. So you have to make day 2 for you to get your buy-in back. Alright, we're going to 7 wins or 3 losses. Cairn the Betrayer. Sorry, my first game always takes a while to load on my computer. Alright, so they're on Luris, so they're either cycling or aggro. This looks like a terrible hand against that, so I'm going to mulligan. I will keep this one. Normally I would just get rid of an Omen of the Sun, but if they're aggro, Omen of the Sun's actually pretty reasonable. I'm still going to get rid of it. I have more a variety of tools if I get rid of it. I'm going to start off on this. Do I want to land? I don't want to land right now. Eventually I'll want lands, but not right off the bat. Okay, so they're on cycling. Do I want Beacon? I kind of want Beacon. I also kind of don't. I'm going to keep it. I've got this Luca. I'd really like to be able to play it on 5 if possible. Ooh, they're off to a really good start. This beacon gains me effectively 2 life this turn, and then 1 life per creature that I cast, so it seemed good enough. Teferi can bounce a Flourishing Fox if Flourishing Fox gets too big, so that's something to keep in mind. Okay, so they're on the blue-red build, which is trying to go wide. It's a little bit slower than the straight red-white build. Okay, so I can trade for the Stinger or the Fox. I think the Stinger is more dangerous right now, so I'm going to trade with that. I think I'm gonna Narset, which they'll get to kill, but that's okay. It effectively gains me life by them attacking it. The reason I did that, I didn't play the second inner planar beacon, is because I actually gain more life by not paying 2 life for this next turn. Ooh, that's not good for me. Them having more land is good for me, though. So they can make 2 tokens here, probably. Oh, no, they can't. They can if I... No, they can't, because they'd have to cycle twice. I think I'm on play Yorion, Blinking Omen of the Sun, with the plan to next turn play Luca and steal an Improbable Alliance. Shadow the Sky will be sort of my backup if they get way ahead on tokens. A 3-mana Cycler, that's pretty good for me. Okay, so they can only cycle 1 more time, so I'm going to double block the Flourishing Fox. And they can have my Yorion, but it's worth it to kill the Flourishing Fox, I think. Oh, they ordered it incorrectly too. Well, that's good for me. Okay, so I'm gonna Luca, and I'm gonna steal an Improbable Alliance so they can't get way far ahead on tokens. Did I put anything on the bottom of use? I put all 4 of my fires to the bottom and 2 of my Deafening Clarions. I'm not going to attack because they can totally attack Luca if they want, but they have to suicide in a fairy to do it, to keep me off of activating them again next turn. Which they are going to do. Land was not what I was hoping for. I'm going to plus Luca. There's actually a chance that I hit an Agent of Treachery and can cast it. Nopers. I did lose a Karn, too. Play my land. Alright, what's my plan here? I'm almost certainly playing a Teferi. I'd really like to Teferi bounce my Yorion, but I can't recast Yorion this turn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send Agent of Treachery. I'm going to assume they make another flyer this turn, which means I can't save Luca, but that's the way it goes. I'll play Teferi. I'm just going to plus Teferi. So if they want to keep me from minusing Teferi, they have to send a Teferi instead of Luca, and then I get to Luca. And then if they don't, then I get to minus Teferi on Yorion, where their Zenith Flare and Yorion, okay? Well, it's a Zenith Flare that's not at my face, so that's something. Now, they can't make any more tokens. If I bounce, I get a token, so they could only attack for one. They could kill Teferi, but they can't kill Luca. So I'm going to do that. And end. Oh no, another improbable alliance. That's not great for me. I am planning to steal one next turn, but they get extra fairies this turn. Oh, okay, I get to keep Teferi, I guess. They're flooded. That's good for me. I guess I'll go grab an island. I don't think it matters a whole lot at this point. Play my Omen of the Sun. Ooh, a Luca. Alright, let's see if I hit a Agent of Treachery off this Luca. I did not. But I can play this other Luca, which I will do in a minute. Do I care what colors? I don't. This is going pretty well for me. They get to kill this Luca, but that's alright. I get to take another improbable alliance from them. Ooh, and they missed on another Cycler. So they don't even get to make a thing. I'm going to leave this land in hand, because Improbable Alliance lets me draw and discard. Zenith Flare for 10, okay. That's Zenith Flare number 2. How many Karns are gone? One. Only one Karn is gone. We're going to go plus, and I'm going to activate this, leaving a blue-red. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Activate. I'll discard the Shatter since I have another one. And go team! Finally dropping Luris onto the board. Probably the Draenith Stinger, I would guess. Yep. Okay, so I'm probably going to Shatter the Sky this turn. Unfortunately, don't have enough mana to do that and activate Improbable Alliance, but that's alright. If they don't do that, I was going to say I can actually bounce my Improbable, or my Agent of Treachery and steal their last Improbable Alliance. Oh, we found the other Luca. Well, I can do it anyways. So I'm going to go Luca. And steal. And I think this will be the game because I'm going to get to draw 9 cards on my turn at the end of my turn. So I'll play this land. Yeah, I'm willing to trade their Luca for an Agent of Treachery and 3 extra draws if they want. They did not want. It's kind of what I thought. So I think that is the game. Oh, look, I even found a Karn. So I can make sure they can't Zenith Flare me out. I have 5 and 4. Okay. When I was testing out this deck, this is kind of the problem. At some point, it just becomes hopeless. And like, yeah, they can cycle all they want and dig to whatever they're looking for, but I'm so far ahead that they just can't do anything about it anymore. Their hope, they think, is to find a Zenith Flare, which right now would shoot for 13. So they think they can get me in range, but I'm going to exile their graveyard next turn. Note, I do not have any Agents of Treachery left, so there's no point in activating Luca. So I'm going to go Elspeth Conquers Death. Just making sure that Soul Guide Lantern costs 1, and I believe it's 0 to activate for exile. So I'm going to go Elspeth Conquers Death, get rid of Luris, and then Karn the Great Creator, and go minus, and Soul Guide Lantern, and play a land, shock, Soul Guide Lantern. Doesn't matter what I exile, because now I'm going to exile their whole graveyard. And they see it. Alright, 1-0. So I figure I should probably go over some of the the metagame that I'm expecting. So there's the aggro decks. The aggro decks are the cycling deck, which you just saw. There's a red-white build, which is a little faster, and there's a red-white-blue build, which trades a little bit of its speed for that enchantment you saw that last game, with the idea being that you can go wide with tokens. Basically what I have to do is stay at a high enough life total that they can't Zenith Flare me out, and then eventually they would be able to Zenith Flare me out, but Karn is supposed to be able to dig me Soul Guide Lantern, which I can then exile their graveyard, and then they can't Zenith Flare me out. There's Mardu Knights, which is a super fast Knights deck. If they get a good draw, it's literally unbeatable for my deck. But if they just have a medium draw, then I have Wrath effects and things like that. So basically I have to keep the board as clear as possible until I can start to take over the game. There's the mono-white enchantment deck, or sometimes white-green enchantment deck. That one, again, with a good draw, is almost unbeatable for my deck. Basically, they're going to try and load up enchantments on a creature and then give it leave up protection spells so that I can't answer the creature. If they have the right protection spells, I just lose. If they don't, then I can usually get back into the game. There's mono red, although I haven't seen much of that anymore. Often, mono red is an Obosh deck, so it only uses odd cards, and then Obosh doubles the damage of all the odd cards. Sometimes you see mono red with Luris, although I haven't seen almost any of that recently. There's also the Obosh Sacrifice deck, which is a pretty aggro deck, and it can drain you out with Cat and Oven. But sometimes if they get an aggressive draw and then top it off with Obosh, if you don't get enough answers, you just die. I think that's basically all of the aggro decks, unless I'm missing one, but I think that's it. And then there's sort of a mid-rangey deck that's sort of a metagame deck. It's a Gruul Umori deck. Basically, the idea is most of the creatures are 4 toughness, so they don't die to the 3 damage to all creatures effect. And then you get to play the Shifting Ceratops, which has Pro Blue, which protects it against a lot of the answers that the Yorion deck that I'm playing gets. I've seen a few other sort of weird decks, but that's about it that I've seen consistently on the mid-range. And then on the control side, there's a bunch of Yorion decks. There's the version that I'm playing, both with Karn and without Karn, although without Karn is much more common. There's the Bant version, which plays Uro and the Explore card. So it plays some extra mana ramp. I've actually seen an Esper version, which plays more like counter spells and stuff. And then there's the Wilderness Reclamation deck, which is, Wilderness Reclamation. You get a Wilderness Reclamation down, you get to untap your lands at the end of each end step, and then you build up a bunch of mana for instants. Teferi is super good against that deck if you can land one. But they do have some early counter spells, so sometimes you can't land it. Okay, so I'm going to continue. Welcome, Door Neverwhere. Alright, another Luris deck, so they're going to be aggressive. I have 2 Shadow the Skies and double white, so I probably have to keep this. It is actually possible that this hand will be too slow. This Agent Treachery is sort of like an auto mulligan, but I really like the double Shatter and the Elspeth, so I'm going to keep it. If they get a super aggressive start, it'll just be too slow and I'll die anyways, but they have to have like a perfect draw for that. They're deciding what card to put on the bottom from the mulligan. For anyone who doesn't know, Best of 1 has a hand smoother, So red, so they could be cycling or they could be mono red. Play this. When you draw your hand in a best of one match, what it does is it generates two hands, so they're on cycling, and it picks the better land versus spells configuration. So that gives a pretty big advantage to aggro decks, because aggro decks are trying to curve out and just kill you, and they're more likely to do so because of the hand smoother, which is why you see a lot more aggro decks in best of one. All right, something to do? No. Okay, I will do this. So they got a pretty slow hand. They didn't have a one drop, and they just cycled a bunch to try and find something and didn't. What I'm hoping that they do this turn is play some sort of creature, so that it dies to my wrath. If they don't, I might just play Elspeth. No, I probably won't, because I need to get that Drannith Healer off the board. Otherwise they can just cycle me out. So I'm probably just playing Shadow of the Sky. But they played a creature, so I'm definitely playing Shadow of the Sky. This one says the first time they cycle each turn, they get a 1/1. So eventually I will have to find Karn. Third Shatter is not what I wanted. Because if I don't, they will just be able to Zenith Flare me out. So I have... This is all three colors. I have a white, 2 blue, and a red. So I have 3 blue, 2 white, 2 red. So I guess I'll take a white. I don't want to find planes if I can avoid it, because of that one card that looks for planes. So I guess I'll find an island. And I will Shadow the Sky. If they go land, Lurrus, Drannith Stinger, I will Shadow the Sky again. If they don't, I may just Elspeth. Stinger and Rescuer. Well, I'm going to Shadow the Sky again then. Tapped, Shatter. So now they'll probably go Lurrus and then Drannith Stinger or Rescuer. And I will Shatter one more time. And there's my Karn. So I'm actually in pretty good shape now. I don't want them to play a creature this turn, so they can just resolve a Karn and not have to worry about it. Nice. Ooh, I even drew a Fires. So I can play Fires. How many cycling cards in here? They have 11 cards in their graveyard, one of which doesn't cycle. So Zenith Flare is 10. They could easily get to 13 next turn. So I'm actually just going to Karn and pick up the Soul Guide Lantern right now. I guess it doesn't really matter. Drannith Stinger. Alright, do I do it now, or do I wait? They can't have a lethal Zenith now. I'm going to do it now. The reason I'm doing it now is if they have Zenith Flare right now, it's not lethal. But if they draw Cycler, Cycler, and they just scooped. If they drew Cycler, Cycler, and then Zenith Flare, they could actually Zenith Flare in response to my exiling, so they could just leave up Zenith Flare mana basically the whole game. So I wanted to make sure that couldn't happen, and I actually had another Lantern that I could grab to sort of just leave on the table for a while if I needed. Southern Burn, I'm at 2 win. You just saw the second win there. So we're 2-0 against cycling so far. All right, no companion. That usually means wilderness reclamation. If it's wilderness reclamation, I have Omen of the Sea to play on 2 and Teferi on 3. If Teferi resolves, then I'm in really good shape. And if it doesn't, I can also Narset the next turn. And I have an Elspeth Conquers Death, so this is really good against wilderness reclamation. Against some other deck, it's fine. I have seen like mono red not play a companion before. Yeah, okay, so I think they're on wilderness reclamation. Andy, I need that's interesting, 4 color. I don't know that I've seen that before. I need 7 wins before 3 losses to make it to day 2. Glass Casket is not where I want to be. Oh, they're not. They're on, I'm not sure what this is. Yeah, I still want to Omen of the Sea. For anyone who's unaware, I have to make day 2 to have a chance at the money. And so I have to get to 7 wins today to do that. And then tomorrow, it's best 2 out of 3, and I have to get to 7 wins before 2 losses. And 7 wins is worth $2,000. Neoform, interesting. 6 wins is worth, that's what it is. It's Winota. Gotcha. Well, this may be the end of this game. If they hit Agent of Treachery, I'm dead. Now they missed, and they missed. Well, that was lucky. 6 wins tomorrow is worth $1,000, and then anything less than that is worth a bunch of gems. Okay. None of these are going to get me where I need to go, so I'm going to bottom them. I can Teferi Winota, but they could just play it again. I'm going to Teferi regardless. Unless I wanted to Narset to dig for a Wrath, but that's probably not good enough. Alright, I guess I'm going to Teferi the token away, so they have 1 less hit on Winona, or 1 less look on Winota. Well, that was not good. I'd really like to top deck Shatter the Sky. That's what I want. Because 2 turns to this Elspeth Conquers Death is going to be too slow. Winota is a pretty gambly deck. It has hands that are basically unbeatable, but if you can't keep a Winota on the board, it's hard to win. Agent of Treachery, alright, I think that's going to be the game. I could still top deck the 3 damage to everything spell. If I do that, I get to prevent Winota from... Nope, that didn't work. Alright, I guess I'll... Am I dead? 5, 10... I'm not technically dead, but they get 2 hits off Winota. I mean, I doubt that I have any chance, but I'll play it like I do. So we'll find Narset. I imagine they're going to hit another Agent of Treachery. There's the Shatter, but too late. And if they hit another Agent of Treachery, they get to take a land, and then I'm just dead. Yeah, it's possible for them to miss. They get to look at their top 7, I think, top 6 twice. So if there are any Agent of Treacheries in their top 12 cards, then I'm dead. There it is. I think I'm on literal 0 outs. Like, even if I do the 3 damage thing, I'd have to take 2, I'd go to 2. Winota would survive, and Winota would just kill me. So I'm on 0 outs. I haven't seen a Neoform build of Winota before. It's pretty cool. And good game. So there was 0 chance for me to beat that hand with my deck. I think with my hand, I could have drawn very well really early and had a shot. If I had drawn the 3 damage to everything early, that could have done it. But with what I drew and what they drew, there was no chance of me winning that game. And that just happens sometimes. That happens especially with the Winota deck, because the Winota deck has unbeatable hands and unwinnable hands. I tried it out for a while. I didn't think it was good enough for a long tournament, but sometimes you get lucky. Okay, so they're either on Winota or what's it called? Wilderness Reclamation. This hand is kind of medium against both. I'm also on the draw, which sucks. But I'm going to keep it. Temple of Deceit. I do not know what they're on. Excuse me. I guess I'm gonna Birth of Meletus here, since I don't know what they're on. I don't know what I want to Omen of the Sea for. So I think they're just leaving up counter spells here, which is fine by me. Okay, so they've got Planeswalkers in the deck. Fae of Wishes, okay. What are they going to grab? Ooh, Unmoored Ego. Okay, so they're probably going to try and take my Agent of Treachery, I would imagine. I don't think I want either of those. Okay, so I'm going to resolve a Karn while I can. I'm going to look at my sideboard here. I don't know what I would want on my sideboard yet. I'll probably want a Godpharaoh statue at some point, but I don't want to grab it and then give them the chance to Unmoored Ego it. So, do I just want a plus here? I'm going to plus so they don't know what I'm getting. For Agent of Treachery, I assume. Yep, there it is. They get the one in my hand, but I get to draw a card to replace it. They get all 3? Yes, they did. Elspeth is not bad. Let's see. So they can't counter any non-blue spells this turn. I can't resolve a Godpharaoh statue. I don't have enough mana. I think it's likely that they have removal in their deck. So like a Crystalline Giant or a Stonecoil Serpent's probably not great here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to resolve this Elspeth. And again, I do not want them to know that I'm getting Godpharaoh's statue, so I'm just going to plus again. So they probably have Ashiok in their deck. What other Planeswalkers could they have? I don't know. Ah, Bolas. There you go. So they can totally kill Karn here, which would be a bummer. They didn't. I'll exile a land. I can kill Bolas here, so I'm definitely going to do that. Elspeth to the rescue. And this time, I will be grabbing the Godpharaoh statue and casting it to make things more difficult for them. So all their spells cost 2 more now, and they lose a life each turn. Also, I can turn it into a 6/6 with Karn if I want. Teferi, so they get to bounce Godpharaoh statue, I guess. But then I get to kill Teferi. Yeah, I'm just going to make some more soldiers. And kill Teferi. And play the statue again. Play a tapped land. And then I'm going to still grab a card. I don't know what I want to grab. I think I want to grab a second Godpharaoh statue, just to make things hard for them. Because it's almost impossible. It's impossible for them to cast something and leave up a counterspell for Godpharaoh statue, since everything costs 2 more. So that'll mean if I have a second Godpharaoh statue, all their spells will cost 4 effectively. But I think what I'm going to do is just exile that card instead with my Elspeth Conquers Death, which they know about, but I feel like they're just out of options, which is why they played it. Yeah. So I actually have lethal next turn, even if they kill this Godpharaoh statue. Actually not. Not if they kill the Godpharaoh statue. I take that back. Right? There's nothing in my sideboard. So I have 6. Yeah. I don't have lethal. Yeah, I'll play this. And I'm actually going to go dig out the Spyglass, because if they have something in their hand I care about, I can look right now. So they have a Cry, which won't do it. That's just an alternate casting cost, so that doesn't matter. I guess Chandra? It doesn't really matter, I think. Chandra Awakened Inferno. I'm not going to play the land. So they have to kill all my tokens and answer Godpharaoh statue. Oh, Godpharaoh statue is legendary. Thank you for letting me know that. Hey Angel, I'm doing pretty well. I'm at 3-1 right now. I lost to one of the good Winota draws. Luris. Oh, with white this hand would be pretty good against Luris. I can cast Teferi with this hand, but I have no extra scries. But if I get to 4 mana, I have Fires, and then I can cast Shatter the Sky. Yeah, I'm still going to keep it. It might be bad, but let's hope not. Angel, this is best of 1. Day 2 is best of 3. Alright, I'd love to draw a white source. Well, cycling again. Well, we're 2-0 against cycling. Let's see if we can keep that up. If they just cycle a couple of times, that's actually really good for me. Dragon Stinger was less good for me. I did draw the 4th land, though, so that helps. I'm going to Teferi back the Dragon Stinger because it's more expensive to cast. And I think it can do more damage to me in the short term. Okay, do they have enough that I want to shatter? Is the question. I'm not sure. With Teferi, then yes, I do. The reason I say Teferi changes that is because if they follow up with another like Flourishing Fox or something, I can bounce it. They don't have a lot of mana, so it's hard for them to cast multiple creatures this turn. Are they doing it anyways? Nope, cycling. Okay, good. Thanks for the luck, Angel. Alright, so Narset's good. Narset is actually bonkers against the cycling deck. I guess I want Luca. I am going to Teferi and bounce their creature. This might actually lock up the game. Ooh, I even found a land. So Narset's bonkers because it says my opponent can only draw 1 card per turn. So if they cycle, they don't even get a card back. See, they don't get to draw there. Elspeth Conquers Death can exile Luris. Let's do this and this. Deafening Clarion can clear both of those. Alright. One. And Luca doesn't matter. Sure, I will. So the only card I care about anymore is Karn. I'm just going to Omen here. So that they can't Zenith Flare me out. Double Stinger. So I'm probably going to play Luca next turn to go get an Agent of Treachery, and then Yorion and blink the Agent of Treachery, steal their 2 Drannith Stingers. There is Karn. They're very far from Zenith flaring me out, so I don't need to Karn right now. And minus, do this thing, take that thing, Yorion. I get to blink the fires as well, which actually lets me cheat and cast a 3rd spell. Oh, shoot. I forgot to blink the Agent of Treachery. That was dumb. That's alright. Karn. I'm going to minus. Give me that sweet, sweet Soul Guide Lantern. Alright, 3-0 against Cycling. Which is pretty good, because one of the issues I was having with this deck when I was first testing it was that I was losing like all the time to Cycling. So clearly the changes I've made have helped. Alright, so they're either on Wilderness Wreck or they're on Winota, I think. This is not a super strong hand. But it is on pace to Luca turn 5 for an Agent of Treachery. They just mulliganed. I have Omen of the Sea, Birth of Meletus against an aggressive draw. Alright, I'm going to keep it. A good Winota hand could just wreck this, but we'll see. Especially because they're on the play. Hey, Hank, thanks for the well wishes. Okay, so this is probably Winota again, I would imagine. Shatter, yeah, that's what I want against Winota. They've played blue, black, green, no white yet. So maybe they're not Winota? Maybe they're actually Wilderness Wreck? I guess I'm going to Birth of Meletus. Still don't know what they're up to. It'd be weird to have a Wilderness Wreck deck that doesn't use red. Oh no, I don't have a second blue for that Narset. Okay, well, let's see what they do next turn. This is the turn. If they have anything, I think it's going to happen this turn. I mean, they're clearly Sultai. Mononoke, yes, this is Luca into Agent of Treachery. And I'm playing Karn in my deck with a artifact toolbox. Let's see, do I want any of these? Do I want Fabled Passage? It does get me my other blue source, which could give me Narset. Sure. Let's do that. I kind of think they're holding up a counterspell. But that's okay. I mean, I'd much rather they counter Narset than Luca. I still don't know what they're up to. I imagine that they're a control deck. So they're probably worried about Luca right now, although note, I haven't played my second red source yet. Casualties of War, okay. I mean, that was gross, but that's alright. Let's play an Elspeth. I'm doing it this way in case I top deck another red source so that I can still Luca. Clearly the Shatter the Sky was a bad keep. Did not draw the red source. I can still resolve a Karn here, though, so that's probably what I'm going to do. All right, what do we think they're up to? What do I want with Karn? I can have Grafdigger's Cage, that doesn't seem good. Shadow Spear doesn't seem good. Soul Guide Lantern, probably unimportant. Glass Casket doesn't seem relevant. Sorcerer's Spyglass, just to look. I could get a Crystalline Giant, just to have a creature. Godpharaoh Statue seems good, because they're clearly a control deck. I guess that's where I'm going to be. It does unfortunately give them an artifact to blow up if they have another Casualties of War. Yeah, I'm way up on card advantage. They've done almost nothing. They've played a Casualties of War and a bunch of lands. They did mulligan at the beginning of the game. I imagine they probably have Uro in their deck. Nissa, that makes sense. I think I'm going to keep Karn alive here. A red source would be great, because then it could steal their Nissa. And there's the Uro. So I can kill their Nissa this turn. That's got to be worth it. I can actually answer both of their creatures. That seems good. So I'm going to go -2. Go find Glass Casket. I'll Glass Casket their Arboreal Grazer. And we'll -1 on Elspeth to give these tokens some power. Yeah, Krasis is probably another good call. And then I'm gonna Teferi. Oh no! Oh, because it adds extra green. Right. I guess I should have Teferi'd first, and then I would have known that. That was a misplay. Still gonna bounce this land. Fires was a pretty good draw, because that gives me the ability to play this Luca now. I was thinking they only had 1 mana, so it didn't matter what they did, but of course that tri-land is a forest. So if I'd been smart, I would have played Teferi before I did anything else, and then if they wanted to Heartless Act, they had to do it now. Then I could do my Elspeth thing, and I would have killed Nissa. So that was definitely a misplay. Hopefully not one bad enough that I lose the game, but it was pretty bad. I think what I'm going to be doing, though, is stealing their Nissa. It's possible it's better in the long run, but I think it would have been better if I could have just stolen land or something, keep them off of stuff. Because they also get a ton of mana this turn because they have Nissa for a turn. It looks like they're probably not doing much with it, which is good, but it could have been really bad. Like a Krasis for 1 billion could have happened. And they get to kill either Karn or Teferi. So the problem here, now that Teferi is gone, is they can, if I Luca and they have a kill spell, they can kill the thing I target with Luca and I get nothing. I could go Fire's God Pharaoh's statue. Their things costing 2 extra isn't really that big of a deal at this point while they have Nissa on the board, but I can turn that into a 6/6. And they did bottom 2 with their scry, so hopefully they're not just holding on to a crisis here. I think this game would have been over if I had played that one turn correctly. I would have won already. They get to kill Karn now. If they tap out, though, I do get to Luca. If they don't tap out, there's some risk that they kill at instant speed whatever I try to Luca with. They have one card in hand. Okay, I think I'm going to Deafening Clarion. And then if they want the mana from the Triomes, they'll have to use it. Or they'll have to tap it. I could attempt to kill Nissa with the God Pharaoh statue by playing Karn. Yeah, alright, I'm going to do that. I don't care about the 6 life, and I'd rather that they make a mistake. So I'm going to do it like this. Wait. I think I paid it wrong. What? What happened? Why didn't they die? I'm not sure what happened there. Alright, if they have the kill spell, now's the time for them to use it. Yep, they did have the kill spell. I thought I selected both modes. That's really unfortunate. I mean, I still have this Wrath, so it's not the end of the world, but that really sucked. Okay, so they have to top deck a removal spell here, and if they don't, then my Luca gets there. Karn dies, I take 3, I assume. They have 1,000,000 mana. They don't have 5 extra cards to exile for Uro yet. That was weird. So I can just Elspeth Conquers Death. I'm going to do that because there's no risk. I mean, they could counter it, of course, but there's no risk of them having a kill spell in hand. And then I'm going to Wrath. And they can Uro, but then I can take it. Alright, so I think we're stable now. Despite my best efforts. Okay, so we're going to do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And minus. And Luca. And minus. And take that Uro. Hooray! Despite all of the things that went wrong there, I still got it. Alright, 5-1. We're getting pretty close to those 7 wins. Still have a 1-loss buffer. Thank you, Maroi. Hugo Hill. No companion. This hand kind of sucks. If they're on Wilderness Reclamation, that Teferi's really good. If they're on Winota, this hand's pretty bad. If I draw something that makes creatures before turn 5, it gets good again. Alright, I'll keep it. Myro the Third. Oh, I see. Yeah, I try not to use people's real names on here, because this looks like it's probably Winota. Because I'm recording it, and, you know, I don't know if people want their names on the record or anything like that, so. Deafening Clarion might be good here. Deafening Clarion is definitely good here. Deafening Clarion was a great draw. Okay, making sure that I got the 3 damage effect there. So now they can totally play Winota, but they don't have any non-humans to attack with. Is this guy a human? He is. So if I bounce the token, they don't have any Winota hits. Okay, so I have some choices here. I could do nothing, play Omen of the Sun, hope they don't play Winota, and then hit a Agent Treachery off the top, and then and that I top deck a land, any untapped land. Alternatively, I could play Teferi. I could bounce the 3/2. The 2/3 would then get to attack Teferi and kill it, but they don't have any non-humans for Winota. I think that's a safer play. I'm going to go that. It's too much of a gamble the other way, and the way they played means that if they had Winota, they were planning to play it on turn 4. Hank to Ford. I called you Hank because I was shortening the beginning of your username. Just like with Angel is Iron Man. They're really trying to get to that Winota. I missed on land. If I had a land, I could Karn, and then I could Grafdigger's Cage, and then they can't Winota anymore. Hmm. I'm gonna Karn and Grafdigger's Cage. Um, they'll get to kill Karn if they want, and they get a shot with Winota if they want, but they only get one, and then after that. But if I grab Grafdigger's Cage, I can't Luca. That's okay. If there's a turn I really want to Luca, I can Yori in the Grafdigger's Cage away. Alright, no Winota, please. Why did this untap? They didn't have an attacker. Mana no kill. Yeah, so I kind of figured that if they hit something, then they can send it to Fairy. Come on, whiff! Alright, well, that wasn't too bad. Third Luca. Not where I wanted to be. I guess I'm Narsetting. Really, all I need is, like, a Shatter the Sky, and then I think I just probably win. That was not a Shatter the Sky. Oh, I see. Then yeah, I don't know why. Okay, so all I have to do is answer the board, and then I'm probably going to win. So there's that fifth land. I totally could have hit a Luca this turn, but that doesn't do any good, because my Grafdigger's Cage prevents my own Luca from working. So this grabs me a Plains. So all I'm trying to do is buy time till I find a Wrath effect, basically. So I can play Omen of the Sun. I'm going to block Winota. I could double block the 3-2 if I really wanted to, but this prevents more damage, and all I'm trying to do is buy time. I could play Yorion. What does that get me? That gets me a Plains and an Omen of the Sun. I don't think I want to, though. The reason I don't want to is next turn I get to Agent of Treachery, and then the turn after that I could play Yorion and blink it, or I could play a Luca, have that sitting on the board, and then eventually when I play Yorion, I can blink the Grafdigger's Cage so it's out of play for a turn and go digging. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play Luca. I'll just plus it. And sit back. They're flooding, so that's good for me. Fires of Invention. So I could fires. No, I'm gonna fires and Agent of Treachery. Fires, Agent. Oh, you know what? I should have plussed Luca first. That's all right. Because if I happen to hit Agent from that. Okay, so I think I've got it now, because next turn I get to Yorion. Hangs Executioner, okay. Changes things a little. They probably want to exile, yeah, that. So I can't blink it. You want to hit me or Luca for 2? Nope. Okay, so now I'll attack with Winota. Or do I want to use it to get an Agent of Treachery? No, I'll attack with Winota. Are they going to double block or are they going to jump? Or take 4? Jump, okay. So now I am going to play Yorion. I'll blink the cage. And then I'll use Luca to go grab another agent. I guess I'll take the 2/3. And I guess I'll play another Luca with the plan to try and ultimate it. Oh, or I could just go get another Agent of Treachery. That's probably better. It's funny that Winona can actually hit Agent of Treachery out of my deck, but there's only one left, so it's very unlikely to hit. All right. So we're now 1-1 against Winota decks. Winota Neo brand. So as you saw, that deck is a lot more beatable when they don't have a super aggressive start. And as it turns out, they actually did, like, if they had Winota on turn 4, I was going to be super dead, because they were going to have, like, 2 Goblin tokens, and the 2/2, and the 0/3, so they would have gotten 4 spins on Winota, and they would have hit at least 1 agent for sure, and taken a land. But I had that 3-mana Wrath, which saved the day. Alright, can we get one more, make it to day 2? I have to get one more before I lose 2. Obosh. Okay, so Obosh is either mono red, which is aggro, or it is red black sacrifice, which is also aggro, but it gives you some reach. It's just slightly slower. What does this hand do for me? This hand goes Birth of Meletus, and then turn 4 Karn. There's a chance at a turn 5 Luca, but if not, Karn gets to go grab like a glass casket. It's not great, but I'm going to keep it. There's some argument for playing the Passage on turn 2, so that I don't have a tapped land, but I think I'm going to be okay this way. Ooh, Elspeth was a great draw. Yeah, being on the play is a big deal in best of 1, especially against the aggro decks. So they're on the mono red build, which is faster, which is less good for me. I'd really like to top deck a Wrath. I can't do anything on 3, right? Yeah, so Temple. Basically I just want Wrath, of which there are 6 in the deck. Haha, except by creatures with Defender. My wall has Defender. It's funny. They have a Shock too. Bummer. I really wanted a Wrath that turn. Did not find it. So we're going to Elspeth, make some blockers, hope to top deck a Wrath. Is 2 soldiers better than 5 life? So 2 soldiers lets me trade for Scorch Spitter, which prevents 1, and chump a Fervent Champion. So it prevents 3, but it prevents 2 next turn. So yeah, that's better than the gain 5, unless I die this turn. I have the ability to Luca next turn, but that's probably not relevant. I'm basically just digging for Wrath. They're a bit mana screwed, slowing them down just a little. Alright, I'm gonna block the Scorch Spitter. It blocks more damage eventually, or overall. That's unfortunate. And so was that draw. Alright, so I could Narset. Nothing I can get with Karn is worth playing at 1. Luca doesn't get me anywhere. I could Yorion. I'm dead to a burn spell if I Yorion. But if I Narset, I'm looking for exactly a 2-drop of that does something, of which there are very, very few. So I guess I'm on Yorion. And I don't want to draw land, so I'm going to go ahead and play the Fabled Passage now. But look at this. This is... They've had 4 turns so far and have been stuck at 2 mana. And I am currently fighting for my life. And that's why I said the aggro decks are a bit rough. Alright, can I survive this turn? Dead to a burn spell. I'm not dead to that. Also note, if I don't draw a Wrath, I can Karn and go get a glass casket and exile something. How many cards from my graveyard? 2. Not that close to buying back Elspeth. My other possible plan is to Narset and hope that I've got the 3 damage to everything on my top 4 cards. That's a lot riskier. Higher payoff, though. Okay. So we're going to do that. I'm going to have to gain 5 life with Elspeth. Conquer's Death was not good here. So definitely gaining 5 with Elspeth. And I think I'm Karning. So if I Karn on, say, Tin Street Dodger, and I block Scorch Spitter, I'm taking 3, putting me to 3. If I do neither of those things, I could take 4, go to 2, but I could Narset. 2's really dangerous, though, because it puts me in shock range. I'm going to Karn, and the reason I'm going to Karn is because Karn on the following turn can dig me out of Shadow Spear, and then I can gain life off of Yorion. You like get rid of Spitter. The problem is Tin Street Dodger is a bigger problem long term, but I kind of have to draw a Wrath long term anyways, right? All right, I'll take Spitter for the immediate life. I found a 3rd land. What do they want to answer? They can knock Karn down to a spot where I can't minus. Both going at me, okay. So they have 4 damage next turn. They can't Obosh next turn. Well, I'm going to start with Narset, because I could still draw a Wrath here, which would change everything. So let's go blue, blue, red, Narset. Wrath, especially a 3 damage one? Yeah! That's what I'm talking about. So I'm going to definitely Clarion for both effects. Now I am in really good shape. Because I'm also going to gain 3 life off this Yorion. Enter tapped. Make some soldiers. I'm going to plus Karn. Make that a dude. And send. Alright. This one's going to be hard to lose now. It was shaky for a while. I get to Elspeth Conquers Death that. Or steal it, I suppose. I could Luca and take it. That might be better. And it is better, and the reason it's better is because that gives me enough mana to also Karn for Shadow Spear. Shadows. Whoa, we did it! 7 wins! We're on to day 2! 7-1, that was pretty good. I've been practicing a lot this week, so I guess it paid off. I wasn't on this build of the deck until like the day before yesterday. Thank you, Mononokel. Thank you for the congrats. All right, so day 2. I think I will stream tomorrow, assuming it's okay with my wife. I have to start between 8 and 10. So I will, so here, just so everyone can see the details. So I have to join between 8 Pacific time and 10 Pacific time. And it'll be traditional best of 3 matches. I expect a lot less aggro. I mean, so that today I played, what, 3 cycling decks, 2 Winota decks, and a mono red deck out of 8 games. So I only played 2 decks that weren't that. So as expected, there was a lot more aggro today. Tomorrow, I will be playing the same deck, but it'll be a much different build. It's built a lot more to beat mirror matches because I'm expecting a lot more mirror matches tomorrow. Also, tomorrow is everybody who went 7 wins, so I'm expecting the competition to be stronger as well. Whereas today, just anybody who wanted to could enter. It'll be a lot longer stream if I can, because, you know, best 2 out of 3 games, and I still have to get to 7 wins or 2 losses. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly when I'll get started. It kind of depends on when the kiddo is awake, but and how my wife feels about it. I suspect she'll prefer that I start closer to 10. But I'll post on Facebook about it for anybody who's on there, and for anybody who's not, you can follow me, and I think you will get a notification when I go on. So thanks for joining, everybody, and I will hopefully see you all tomorrow.